Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. Jason here, and I have a playthrough today of World Changers. World Changers is a card game for 1 to 4 players. I'm going to be demonstrating the solo game here. It is a card game with a historical theme. You're going to be collecting characters from different eras in history, from different cultures and different places. Collect them into a central tableau and scoring points. As you collect them, they're going to be firing off powers, lots of combos, reversals, taking cards from your opponent, that kind of card game. So then I'm going to be demonstrating a game against the bot, and I'll show you how that works in just a second. We are the one-stop co-op shop. We are a gaming empire. You are on the YouTube right now. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. Every like, every subscription is deeply, deeply appreciated. We also have a one-stop co-op shop streamed channel where you will get the latest and greatest, and also some favorites from Steve and Peter and the people who drop by and want to stream some games from night to night. We also have our podcast, which launches twice a week with some gaming chat, reviews, and interviews, as well as above-the-table conversations. We have a very active Discord with a lot of good conversations. Free to join. Please hop in whenever you want to talk about solo and co-op and other conversations. We do have a Patreon. We would very much appreciate a contribution that would unlock higher level tiers. But for the most part, the good stuff is completely free. So please stop by our community. We are the One Stop Co-op Shop. We are your one stop for solo and cooperative gaming goodness. Welcome to a game of World Changers. It is a game for 1 to 4 players. I will be showing the multiplayer rules first, and then I will get to the solo. I have laid out a 2-player game for your demonstration. All right, so the high-level overview is that this is a card selection game and tableau builder, so you could be playing cards in front of you. So there's a common pool. They call it the Void. And this is cards from your hand. On your turn, you'll have one action to play a card either from the common pool or from your hand. Build your tableau over the course of rounds, and then score the points at the end of the game. The action of the game comes from the card combos. This is a card comboing game if it is anything. Okay, so let's say that I am a player and I want to go at the beginning of my turn. I would see what kind of card it is, what kind of card I want to play. In this particular case, it's an invite card, which I really want to play because it's worth 7 points. That's a ton of points, probably the highest scoring card in the game. And then it's Genghis Khan. So then place all your crewmates other than this one into the Void. The crewmates is your collection of tableau cards. So I'm going to place it here. It's the first turn of the game. I don't have any other crewmates. So Genghis Khan is alone. Yeah, I have scored, or I have invited this person to my crew. So then I would look at the Void and see if there's any cards to replace. I would replace them from my hand first. But because I played a card from my hand, I will just draw back up to 2. The next player doesn't like that. Doesn't like that I'm just sitting there with 7 points. So they say they are going to take their cards aside for now, and they're going to play Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln is worth -1 point, but the trade-off is worth it. His invite power. Select another player's crewmate and place it into the Void. So you see the big swings in points that you get. So I think I've done something cool, but then another player will play something and will take that away from me. So that would be that person's turn. They would pass. And so then it keeps on going back and forth, back and forth. So then there'll be more card combinations. There's more different things that the cards do. So then, as an example, Florence Nightingale. This is a standing power, trigger power whenever anything enters if she's your crewmate. In this particular case, when a card will become your crewmate through an action other than your invite, return that card to its source, which means that if a negative card will come in there, and there's plenty of negative cards, Florence Nightingale will be like, nope, no thank you. And then finally, you have endgame scoring. So then if I have Plato over here, for each of your crewmates with a victory with this kind of like standing power, gain 2. That's pretty cool. Martin Luther King, a very exciting card over here for me. For each of your crewmates with fewer than 1 star, gain 2 stars. So if I were to have a card like this, that would be bad ordinarily. Martin Luther King kind of redeems it all and makes it better. So you see how the interactions, depending on what you pair with what, a bad card could become good, a good card could become great, you could lose your good cards. There's a whole lot going on with the multiplayer version of World Changers. One of the really neat draws of World Changers is this book over here, which explains the thematic integration of all the different historical characters. They're not just pictures. There are intentional ways in which the game brings thematic integration of each character. So then you have a character like Florence Nightingale. She was a nurse. You get a little bit of a paragraph about what she actually was, a turn of the century nurse, or a turn of the 20th century nurse. But also they have the care and cure little thematic explanation. So then she would defend against people that are coming into your crew. The way that the game explains this, many people came to Florence Nightingale, some involuntarily because they were in need of medical care. She made sure that they were cured and could return to their lives. So like someone is coming in, she cures them and then sends them away. A little bit of thematic flavor right there, which I really appreciated. You have a couple of other characters like Maximilien de Robespierre, who was active in the French Revolution. Theirs is to exchange the card with the crewmate of another player, which in game terms is, the chaos that reigned in the French Revolution. A little bit of a stretch, but I appreciate the effort. And then there's this one, Johann Sebastian Bach, who has no effect. Bach's music just is. I mean, I appreciate the game for trying. This one's a super stretch, but why not? Either way, there is a lot of fun to be had in this book. Whether you buy the little thematic integration bits or not, I think it does a pretty good job overall. Solo rules, very easy, very resonant with the multiplayer rules, except for one key difference. So in terms of your play, nothing really changes. You do have an extra card in the void to make 4, but you're going to be either playing from your hand or the void just as normal. So if I play from the void, then that would be a legal play. Or if I could just play from my hand, let's say I wanted to play Notre Dame for some reason, I would actually take a card from the void to make 2 from my hand. Either way, let's say I had played Sebastian Bach, go ahead and take that. You would take all of the void cards and they would go to the bot. Yes, all of them. Sometimes that's great because they get low cost points or minus points in there. Sometimes it's terrible because they have bigger point scorers in there. So then that is the rhythm. You would continue to fill up the board and then keep on going from there. You're going to interact with the bot's crewmate pile, and this is the crewmates, as you would any other enemy or any other opposing player. So if I wanted to play Qin Shi Huang, I know I mispronounced that, but at least I tried. Choose another player's crewmate to become part of your crew. So then I would go ahead and play them, and then I would look through the bot's pile, and I would bring in Mother Teresa. This was not an invite action, I just yanked her, so I wouldn't trigger that power, but showing that I would interact with the crew as I would any other card. And there's also some very simple rules for when the bot needs to choose, so you just go ahead and follow what's in the rule book. You keep playing until you empty this pile, and then just compare the scores of the pile. Most points on either side wins. All right, so we're ready to play a solo game. So we have our market cards, and I also have my 2 historical figures over here, Dante Alighieri and Qin Shi Huang. So once again, I apologize for mispronunciations. When you have an international game like this, mispronunciations are probably going to happen. Try to keep them to a minimum. Okay, so looking at the board, I think that my best bet is Robespierre, which is the power here is the invite power. Exchange this card with the crewmate of another player. Another player does not have a crewmate, so there's nothing to exchange. Historical representation, he was a leader in the French Revolution. Brother against sister and friend against friend. The whole world went upside down. Only it's the very beginning, the world's not upside down quite yet. So we are going to move that along and then deal 4 more cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have Mother Teresa. We have Cleopatra. From the ancient Egypt, we have Henry VII. This will tell you exactly what it is, the War of the Roses era right there. We have Plato. So then here's where the solo deviates a little bit from the multiplayer. in the sense of, so I'm looking at Mother Teresa. It says, take a card with the most victory points from the void and give it to another player of your choice. That card becomes their crewmate. So in a multiplayer game, this would be a real choice. So who would I give it to, and what happens when they trigger stuff, all that kind of thing. And by the way, the bot does not have triggers. I do not have to keep track. It's just kind of a pile of points. So in this particular case, it would be like Henry V or Henry VII. Henry VII will go into the score pile. But because of the nature of the game, everything's going to the score pile. So it wasn't really that much of a choice. Mother Teresa is very giving. Everybody knows Mother Teresa, right? Well, I shouldn't assume that. She was a nun who lived in Calcutta and served the poor, in case you don't know that. So I have Robespierre and Mother Teresa. Natural bedfellows, right? So this is an interesting juxtaposition right here. Did not do this on purpose at all. I have Helen Keller and I have Karl Marx. Karl Marx, the founder of socialism, and Helen Keller, one of its most famous American devotees. Look at that. And they have similar themed powers. So Karl Marx, all cards in the void with 1 star or less become your crewmates. Kind of, workers unite type deal, the voice of the powerless. And then Helen Keller, all players with the most crewmates must add one of them to the void. So kind of getting it from the top end, taking somebody away. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take Karl Marx. And Karl Marx has the following effect. All cards in the void with 1 star or less become your crewmates. So I actually claim Marco Polo and Francis Drake. So then I would not trigger the invite of here because that is technically not an invite action. Otherwise, I would be able to trigger Francis Drake power, select one of your crewmates that has the invite symbol unactivated, so I can activate a yet again in here if I wanted to mess around. But it did not come through in the invite action. It was just became your crew with the Karl Marx power. So then I would not mess with this. It would just get this 1 card. Bye-bye, Helen Keller. Wish I could have kept you together, but that's not the game. All right, so then I would deal out some more cards. Over here, I have lots of choices. So then it looks like I'm going to acquire activist extraordinaire Nelson Mandela. I'm going to select a card in the crew to become my crewmate. Now, I had Lady Godiva on my mind. Not in that way, you dirty-minded people. Just for her 5 points. But unfortunately, if I invited her the normal way, she would pass in the next turn, kind of evoking her story that she, I think it was in Anglo-Saxon times, her husband was the king, taxing the people. Lady Godiva didn't like that, so the king said, go through the town naked, and if you do that, then, I will not tax the land. So then she went through the town naked, but no one was allowed to peek. And if anybody peeked, they would, bad things would suffer. In this particular case, I guess I peeked, because it would be passing my next turn. However, Nelson Mandela is like, no, do not peek. I will find a way to get her favor without you having to get a peek the terrible way. So then I did not invite her to my hand. I just get her as a card for 5 points, and then I would move the rest to the void. So only a couple of turns left. I'm doing pretty good. I got very lucky with some dealing with my deals, and I got a couple of extra cards that I may not have had otherwise. So it looks like kind of a no-brainer for me. I had a couple of options over here, but I think that Pericles lets you do a couple of things. First of all, they're worth a lot of points. And then, because ancient Athenian democracy was so influential, they didn't just reform themselves. They spread democracy throughout the ancient Grecian lands. Select another player, add one of your crewmates to their crew. I'm going to give them Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, you're causing a little bit too much problems. you're rabble-rousing in my little harmonious land over there, so go ahead and go to the other score pile, which gives them a negative, and they would take the rest of the cards this way. And then I would have one more round to go. Looks like I'm going to take Louis III because it is worth 3 points. Invite effects are not activated during my next turn. I don't have a next turn. And that would go over here. And that is the end of a solo game of World Changers. So here are the different score piles. I have 27 in my hand. So did the bot, because the bot actually did pretty good in terms of drafting higher players. However, I was able to finagle the Void a little bit and get them some minuses, so they ended up with 19. And so that is a game of World Changers solo. I really enjoy this game multiplayer, and I really enjoy this thing. I enjoy the heck out of this thing. I enjoy being able to narrate the different actions and, bringing the flavor to life, the interactions and the learning and all that kind of stuff. Ooh, solo mode, I think it speaks for itself. It's a little bit underbaked, I will say. Not a lot of attention was paid in terms of interactions and the different things that this game could be. I think there's a good solo game in here with some more design time and some more specific focus, maybe some adjusted rules. But as it is, solo is hard to recommend just for that. But if you enjoy the rest of the package I can absolutely recommend. So that was World Changers, and this is Jason from the One Stop Co-op Shop reminding you that we'll see you at the next stop.